It's recording going. There we go. All right. So today what we're going to go over is side control concepts, a couple of escapes, a potential submission, and some defenses to that submission. All right. So again, to start with side control, make sure I'm visible here. Get this camera down a little bit. There we go. Okay. So I always start in worst case scenario, because when you have space, it's really easy to take that back. Just make sure one thing. And so a good strong side control position is when your opponent's like on top of you, their knee blocks the hip, the other knee comes basically as high as it can go, getting my arm trapped real deep. Come a little bit higher, the knee. There you go. And come down, and he's gonna wrap around, and he's gonna grab his arms together. Okay, this is the real strong side control. Yeah, good, nice and strong. All right, so this is what happens when you do jiu-jitsu at home, right? Dog gets in the way. Okay, so having your arm hang out here, not a good thing. All right. There are a couple of things, again, you can do with this. You can grab the head. This is okay. And this is the only problem with this is that it pulls your opponent to you, right? Which is what he's already doing. So you don't want to do. So I don't like this, but sometimes this is what you do to get your opponent to move. But the other thing is wrapping the arm around like this. And this is what I like to do, because if I wrap this arm around and I hold this here and Colin tries to free his arm, go ahead and try to pull that arm out. It's very difficult for him to pull his arm out, right? So this is where I like to keep my arm just down like this and tucked, okay? And there's a reason for that too, because if I leave this arm hanging out, he can grab it, push down on the arm and Kimura me. Or if I get this arm up here, he can do the inverted arm bar by like sliding his arm up. So I keep this wrapped here like this. This is what I like to do. And that holds him in place so I can play around with my space before he can pull away from me. Because he as I move, he wants to change and create different spaces. So what I'll do is I'll use my feet here to bump over to my side and create enough space to get this arm down into his hip. So it just works just like this. I go bump, my butt's over. Now I've created space and the arm comes inside like this. All right, now with this arm inside, he can't come back and push back into me as easily. You want to rotate? Yeah. So this is the common thing you want to do anyway. You want to get this frame in right here, and again holding this down, because one of the things that he'll want to do is try to regain this control. And there's different ways to do this. But for the sake of our sweep today, or our two sweeps today, he's not going to do that. Okay, he's just going to be right here. All right, so now what I'm going to do is, with this space I've started to create, I'm actually going to bring this bring this hand inside. So that's going to be my next step. So when I bring this hand inside, now I've created this, I want to bring this hand inside. I don't want to come out here, right? I don't want to wipe out here. I want to come underneath, okay? And if he doesn't let me, so if he puts his head down, I'm trying to get underneath here and he doesn't let me, there's two things I can do. The first one I'm going to try to do is I'm actually going to use this to turn into him and create more space. So I'm just going to bridge into him like this. And then when I do that, I can slide it in, right? Or if he's pushing into my arm real good and I can't get the kind of leverage I need, I can always use the key. So it's just, you just take your hand, put this knuckle out just a little bit like this, put that in there, and just drive it across. And you'll notice, even when he's pushing down, go ahead, push down, drive it across and he'll move, all right? So once we get here, okay, I'm going to create this frame, and I don't want to try to push into his neck. There's a really tricky move where if you push into somebody's neck, he can let this arm go, reach up, put this hand underneath this hand like this, and then push back down, and then there's an arm lock right there. So I don't want to keep my hand up against his throat. Good place is here, like this. So now I can create this frame with my elbow and create this frame here, all right? So once I've done that, and maybe he's still holding on and I'm creating this frame, I'm gonna get inside like this. I'm gonna come out, and I'm gonna grab his, this side of his lapel, or his sleeve. So I'm gonna grab this sleeve right here. And now once this elbow's through, if he keeps this elbow down and I gotta push it through, that's okay too. A lot of people worry about an arm bar right here, which is perfectly legitimate, but if I keep it tight like this, and he tries to like sit up for an arm bar, that's exactly what I want him to do, because I want to push this to the side and keep this tight like this. And then I'm going to do what's called the runaway escape. So he's still going to be on top of me like this, and I'm going to push this sleeve down like this. Then I'm going to do 3 steps, and then I'm going to come back into him. Okay. So the 3 steps kind of look like this. So he's got his arm around me. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. And then when I'm here, I'm going to roll up on my shoulder. Now, I'm going to have difficulty with this, so bear with me, because this is what I would consider a small guy move. But in the elements Jiu-Jitsu, we call it an air move, because I'm creating space and then I'm taking that space away. So I'm going to get up on my shoulder, and then once I'm up on my shoulder, I'm going to roll back into him, and I'm going to retain guard. Okay, like I said, that's not my go-to move, but I think it's important that you know that it's there, because especially if you were with a bigger guy, if you were rolling with a bigger guy and trying to push into him can be difficult. Then going away, or even using that position. So like, so over here like this, I can even use this position to come up to my knees. And what's great about this too is that if I got to this position and I had his arm here, for example, instead, as long as I got control of this sleeve, right? As long as I have control of this sleeve here, I can actually go to my knees and then roll him over. So back up a little bit. So if I have control of the sleeve, I'm going to come up to my knees, and I'm going to hold him here like this, and I'm going to roll him over just like that. That's a slight variation in that move, but it depends on what your intentions are for the move. If you want to go to be on inside control, or at the gi-on especially, if you want to go back to retaining guard, or if, like I said, they're strong enough and they sort of pull that arm away, then that's going to be the options that you have from there. Okay, so one more time, just from start to finish. All right, so again, he's got this real tight. He's got this real tight. He's being real strong. He maybe even put shoulder pressure. There's one thing like that, is shrug that shoulder up. There you go, right in my jaw. So now I can't talk very well. So I'm holding here like this. He's shrugging real hard. He's being a jerk about it. So I'm still gonna bump over to get my frame. Now I'm taking that pressure off. He tries to shoulder shove me again. He's not as close as he was. So now I'm good, all right? So again, the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm either going to turn into him or use the key. So in my case, I would probably try to turn into him to get that here. And then once it's here, now he's pushed back into me. I didn't have time to reset my frame. So now I'm here. So then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use my forearm. And remember, I'm gripping his gi up here. I can go thumb inside, because a lot of people do this. But my issue with thumb inside is if your guy's good enough, he can actually drive his shoulder down and bring this arm over the top and maybe wrist lock me like that. So keeping this, grabbing the gi like this is gonna be what you wanna do. So I create that. I push again to get this hand inside. And then once this hand's inside, now I'm going to reach across and grab this sleeve. If he tries to hide this sleeve, like he tries to go that way with it, that's okay, because that's exactly what I want. Keep this top part. There you go. So if I'm here and I can even just push this arm away like this, then I can roll out to do the rest of the move, come back into guard, or roll up with him. So like for me, like I said, for me, I'd probably come to my knees from here and use this, pull it through and use this. I've actually had this sweep done to me before. It's super annoying because you really just don't feel like you can do anything about it. Like you're trying to pull back, but as you pull back, they just roll, and your upper body is trying to pull against the whole body weight. So that doesn't work out real well. Okay. Any questions about that? Or any angles you didn't see? Okay. I take silence as a no, and that's okay. All right. So the next one, or am I seeing things? Nope. Okay. The next one we're going to do is similar, but a little more aggressive. So it's got, you're going to use the same kind of tight position, and you're going to use the same kind of arm positions, but instead of bridging away, you're actually going to shrimp yourself back, okay? So again, your opponent has a nice tight side control on you. Being a jerk, he's squeezing on you. You don't know what to do. So again, you're gonna hug this arm so this arm's not being attacked. So then I'm gonna bump away and get my arm inside. Now I've created some space. Then I'm gonna bridge in to get my arm inside. He's gonna keep trying to push back on me, and that's fine. So then my next step is I'm going to use this hand and grab some jacket right behind his armpit. So if we rotate just a little bit here. So I'm going to grab jacket right behind his armpit like this. All right, so notice my elbow is still in his hip. So even if he tries to come in with his hip, my elbow is still there. He'd have to clear my elbow. And if he tried to reach back with that arm, this arm, to try to clear that, it's actually what I want him to do a little bit, because I want him to come off me a little bit. But he's going to hold on while we're doing this. And so I'm actually going to, how's the view? Is it okay still? Yeah, it's okay. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my feet and my frames I've created here to shove him down, or shove myself up just a little bit, right? Because it's hard to shove somebody down, especially when they're rooted into the ground. So it's much easier to shoot yourself up. Now, see where his elbow is? His elbow is just below my neck. Even though it's underneath my neck, his elbow is below my neck. It's not deep like it was. So once I get here, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bridge and I'm going to turn. And when I turn, I'm actually going to drive this elbow up and over. So it looks like this. All right. And ideally, his arm would stay behind here like this. And you get real deep in here like this. And if his arm does come up here, it's going to make it a little more difficult to finish. So assuming the arm stays inside like this, and we're here, right? See, I don't know if you can see him posting here on the mat. That can happen. So he's going to push back. And as he pushes back in the motion, I'm going to come up. Oh, and I'm going to come up like so. Hopefully you got all that. I'm not sure about the camera angle. We'll try to get it just with the finish from a slightly different angle. Yeah. Yeah. It's always good to know things from both sides, but which way? This one? This way. For the couch. Just so it's a little farther. Yeah. So again, grab the arm. He's in tight. Can't get my arm inside. So I'm gonna go boom, boom, inside. That's step one. All right. Now step two, bridge. Like I'm gonna turn, but with a big guy, it can be real hard because they're forcing themselves heavily on your body. So even though I'm here, I'm gonna go like this. Sorry if I hurt your face. And grab, see my hand automatically went through the lapel, but if I felt that, I would switch back to this. So now create frame here, create frame here. Okay, then this hand comes up to the shoulder like so. And then I'm going to use my feet and I'm gonna walk myself away. Now, once I'm here, I've kind of got his hand trapped. And if I do this right, I should be able to just boom, up on my shoulder. And there you go. Okay, that is kind of rooted. It's kind of rooted in an attack style because there's kind of using an inverted armbar there to get them to move, the shoulder lock to get them to move that they can't really fight against. So, so that's how that move interacts with the other ones. Okay. That one's a little less complicated than the first one, but it's still a good basic move to know. So, any questions about that? Sorry, my awesome camera here. Okay. Okay, as long as we still got good angles. I might need to come up on this one just a little bit. Okay. So now that we've done that, we're gonna do a submission from the top side. So we're gonna go off of one that I showed yesterday. So Colin's gonna be on his back this time. Head down there. Thank you. Actually, slide down this one. There we go. So this move is the baseball bat choke. And we learn these moves because we're in the gi. There are lots of other moves I could do without the gi, but this one utilizes our cloth weapons. So might as well learn how to use it. Okay. So again, when I'm on top of Colin, which you can see he's a very high-chested guy, so there's not a lot of room when you're on a big guy on top of a big guy. But I like to do chokes that aren't too extravagant to set up. So for the choke we did yesterday and the choke we did today, once we get in side control, we're not trying to squish them. We're trying to just control them, just be light. If we're on top, we want to be light. Because if I'm squishing too hard, you can see all the space I got to make through my last couple of sweeps, right? So from here, I'm actually going to grab the lapel with the inside hand right here, and that helps keep him down. And also, I can control him a little bit. If he tries to turn into me right now for any reason, I can pull this, and it'll control him a little bit. All right. So when you're fighting with somebody, they don't always know to hold on to your arm like this. Okay. So a lot of times what they'll do is if you give them the opportunity, they will reach up to grab you or try to cross face you like that. Yeah. So when they do this, this is the perfect time to shoot for the first of the moves that we did yesterday. So that would be, I come inside and I grab the lapel, and I don't have to grab the lapel high. I don't have to try to get down real deep for the paper cutter choke we did yesterday. You just got to come in here like this. And the way that works, again, is I'm here. He goes to defend. I get this hand inside like this, and I use that to push on his stomach. And then when he's worried about his stomach, I lift this hand around like this, and I come down like that. And that's your paper cutter choke. Oh. Now, how does he defend against this? So what he wants to do to defend against it is he's actually going to stop my hand from grabbing his lapel. So when I'm here and he fights and he sees my hand come in, he's going to stop that. But he's going to stop this part. So he's going to stop, like block my hand from grabbing. Yeah. So when you do that, I'm actually going to come in and I'm going to grab this part of your lapel like this. All right. So right now I have a baseball bat grip on the lapel like this. Light is for, so sorry about the cars. So the baseball bat choke. So we're here like this. Okay. And if he's got his hand inside or not, doesn't really matter too much, because what we're going to do is this is a good one to do off the knee on belly. But if I fail this, then this is right here too. So now I'm here and I'm going to lean over and I'm going to come across like that. You can go through that way. There's no space. Sorry, I'm getting the people's coming in. But in any case, so that's the baseball bat choke. And you don't have to become proficient with it or anything like that. You just got to know that it's a possibility, especially if you're in, real close. And in a normal situation, if I'm here and here, I might switch to knee on belly first. The reason being is if I go knee on belly, he's going to worry about my knee in his stomach. And we'll do knee on belly version in 2 weeks when we get to the knee on belly, or I guess it'll be 3 when we get to the top knee on belly. But we're here, and again, it's coming inside, and it's coming across, and then you come around the outside, and your hand, you keep this hand straight, and this arm almost similar to the paper cutter choke, except for you're not paper cutting with your left hand, you're paper cutting with your right. Now, how does he defend? That's a good question. It's actually real simple. When I get here, what he's going to do is he's going to put his hand up like this. All right, he's going to make a nice tight, my arm's going to be in here. So when I try to go around, it's not going to happen, okay? So if I get this hand in here like this, and I'm here and I'm here, and I try to go around, see my arm stops right here? So I can't move around his body that way. So this is a good way to defend against it. And there are a couple things that someone might do. They might try to let this go to attack this arm, but that's okay, because once they let this go, now you know, oh, I don't have to worry about that anymore. And you can bring this hand back in and recreate your frames, and now you don't have to worry about it. So it's a fairly easy defense, but it's like level 1. Level 2 is the response, and then level 3 is the response off of that response, because it's actually a chain of events. But for now, all we're worried about is surviving. And the best way to survive when your opponent has this hand inside, and even if I was here, even if I had this hand here, and I was going for the paper cutter choke, if you put that hand up like that, I can't get this hand up and over. So I don't have this anymore. I have to let it go and bring my hand out to try to attack something else. And when I bring my hand out, that's when you bring this arm back down to defend, okay? So I think that's pretty much it. That's all I really go over for the basics for today, unless you want to show me, or if you have any questions about any of that. Either way, it's fine. It's just, like I said, just a couple moves, conceptualizations. It would go longer if we had more people to ask questions or anything like that. So no questions? All right. Well, sure, no problem. And again, ideally, you'd have your own space and maybe a partner or a dummy or something like that. And so when you do them, so we can see you doing the moves too, and make sure that because coming to a basics class doesn't always, necessarily translate. You might forget stuff. But before you get out of here, I'm going to stop